Okay, what's up? This is Yuda from BeatLab. It's been a while because of everything that's going on, but we're back at school. We're slowly starting to phase in the classes, and we're very excited to be back in the studio at school. I did some videos, YouTube videos from my place, from my house, but I'm back at the studio so I can start doing more reviews and stuff like that, getting back to it. Today, another episode of Should I Buy It? We're talking about SubLab from Future Audio Workshop, which is kind of like a one-stop plugins for all your sub, bass, 808 needs. Really cool stuff. Very dedicated, very specialized. Let's check it out. So here I have it loaded up on a MIDI track in Ableton. And first thing is that you probably need to play it pretty low. This is just a preset that comes with it. Right, so right out of the bat, I didn't transpose my keyboard. Let me go down here a couple of octaves. Here we go, now we can hear it. Now you definitely need headphones or a sub or just speakers for this tutorial because we're dealing with the low end. Small computer speakers or iPhone speakers might not be enough unless the sound is very distorted. Okay, so right here on the top we can choose the presets, which is come with a nice amount of presets. Could be more, but then they want you to buy those packs, which cost money from artists and their own sound designers. So you can go and get more packs, but it does come with a nice selection. Let's go through a few presets here. Right, very fat 808s. Nice. And you can also create a new pack here. If you want to make your own pack, you can import banks. And there's also some tags, including ability to favorite your best presets and then filter according to that. Nice. Now here we have some options, just settings, general settings. You can open up the pack folder to see where all your presets are on your computer, rescan it, get more packs like before. You can zoom in the interface or zoom out, like make it smaller, although there is a handle right here that you can resize the interface. Here is just, we have a built-in frequency analyzer, spectrum analyzer, so you can decide the resolution of it, just more CPU, and then note settings. This is just some for phasing, velocity, and something that got to do with FL Studio sequencer mode. So that's it. Let's turn off velocity actually. Just want to show it. Nice. Reset all the sliders and bonus samples. I'll show you what those bonus samples are, but you can just click on that. It will take you to wherever it is on your computer. Okay, nice. So let's click on new right here. And we're going to start a new 808 or a new bass sound, just so we can see an overview of what's going on. First of all, I love the interface, very slick, very obvious what's going on, and it's great for this amount of controls. There's not many, they did a very good job. So right here, first of all, we have three sub-engines or bass engines. We have a synthesizer, an oscillator, a sampler, and an X-sub, which is the kind of their own trademark technology or own trademark name, which allows us to make sure that our bass frequencies are solidified. Even if we play a higher octave, it will double it in a very low sub range. So that's very cool. Now down here we have the mixer, which will decide which engines are we using. Right now we're only using the oscillator. Let's go to it. Here we have a basic oscillator. From here we can choose the type of waveform. So sine, all the way to square, just the classic ones. We can change the octave and just the semitones if you're using multiple engines and want to create some kind of chord type of basses. Sweet. We have three envelopes: volume, filter, and pitch. Let's go to the pitch first and turn it down. We'll come back to this. Turn down the amount. Filter also, although it doesn't do anything right now, let's turn it down. And volume. Here's the volume envelope, just like any other synthesizer, right? Attack, sustain right here, decay, and release, of course. Okay, so you can just adjust the volume envelope however you like, whatever type of sound you need, right? Maybe it shouldn't sustain all the way. Let's make it. Yeah, something like that. Okay, nice. Now, filter envelope. Right down here we have the filter. So first let's change it to something with more harmonics so we can actually hear the filtering. Let's do like a saw or square. Let's bring down the filter here. Just take down the cutoff and the resonance, bring up the resonance a tiny bit. Now we still can't hear it because we do need to apply how much of the oscillator or how much of the sample we want to filter. So let's send data. Okay, so now we can hear it's filtered, and we can also adjust the filter envelope to hear the differences in that modulation. Oh, and let's bring up the amount. Right, so now we can hear it open and closing according to the filter envelope. Nice, let's bring down the amount a tiny bit. Nice, now last envelope is the pitch envelope. Let's bring it up. And let's open the filter a tiny bit so we can. So it's going to add kind of like a very quick pitch modulation at the beginning of the sound. And of course we can adjust the envelope if we want to. Oh, let's adjust the pitch envelope. If we wanted to kind of maybe go, you could do some pitch effects. So that's the pitch envelope. Nice. Now, right here in the filter, you can also turn off key tracking, so it won't actually move the filter frequency accordingly, and you have all the basic filter types: low pass, band pass, high pass. Okay, let's turn this down. Let's bring up the sampler. And right now we don't have anything, so let's go into the sampler tab. We can drop any sample we want here, but there's also a lot of samples that comes with the SubLab. So you can check those out from artists, from hardware like the 808 and so on. Right. Nice. Now, back before we mentioned here, you can go and open bonus samples folder. That will take you to where all these samples are on your computer. You can check them out. Right. So this is kind of like a sampler. By default, it doesn't follow pitch. So even if I play different notes on my keyboard, it's playing the same note unless I hit the track. And then I can play it melodically. I can also edit kind of the name and the tag. Let's save that, okay. And I can also loop. And once I turn on the loop, it's gonna give me a loop bracket that we can move around. To loop if you wanna create infinite notes with a sample and so on. Starting point of the sample. Oh, we can't change because of the loop. There we go. Starting point of the sample, the end of the sample, and the blue bars is also the input and output. Right here in the middle, we can change the root note. We can kind of transpose it. The octave. We can maximize it. Kind of get more volume and harmonics and saturation. It's a really great addition to have here. I love that. Delaying it so it's playing a bit later. Could be cool incorporating kind of like maybe more other types of sample that not necessarily bass and have them play slightly after the synth oscillator. Low cut and a high cut. Okay, so that's the sampler. Let's say right here, clear current sample. We're gonna go back to use our oscillator. Actually, we turn it down because now we want to talk about the X sub. Let's go to that tab. And the X sub is their own trademark. And again, whatever note, let's play higher notes. You see, even if I play higher notes, we can see that it's playing right here, those higher notes. It's going to double it in the low octave, in the sub octave, to make sure that the bass is staying solid, even if it goes to a higher octave, which is a super awesome feature. Really great stuff. If I play a low note, we'll see there's no display here because I'm already in the sub range. But if I play higher notes, it's doubling them, which is awesome. You get different controls over the lows, just the sub, and the harmonics. Let's listen to the harmonics. Right, we can also decide like how much. And here's the lows. And it's a really nice addition to kind of, you know, finish this type of specialized plugin. So really great stuff. Now, unfortunately, you can't send this to distortion or compression, which we have right here built in. So let's bring back our oscillator. and turn on the distortion. And here we can decide again how much we want of the oscillator to be sent and how much of the sample. So let's send the oscillator. Right? How much? Here we have low cut, how much the low frequencies will be distorted. The high. Here's the fatness, basically more odd harmonics. The drive itself, gain, which will also decide on how much distortion, because it's the kind of gain staging, and with the drive. And we have 4 different modes of distortion, right? Varying in different colors and different intensities. So that's the built-in distortion. And lastly, here we have a compressor. You can turn down the threshold, send, of course, your oscillator there, and then you can control the volume, the loudness much more precisely, much more tightly if you need it, if you have a very dynamic type of bass that you created. Here is the master model, kind of tab, and here we can turn down the volume. This is confusing, so just make sure this is the volume. Okay, and here we have some maximizing. Okay, just volume. And another maximizer at the end, another kind of limiter, compressor, saturator. If you bring it up all the way, it's off. Nice. And down here, we can, for some reason, we need to drag it down, which kind of makes sense because it goes down, but I don't know why me naturally, I'm starting to drag it up to turn it on because it says off. But you drag it down, and then it's going to spread, it's going to widen all the frequencies, but still keep the bass frequencies in the middle. Okay, which is very cool. So it can create some very interesting, unique wide bass that still their fundamental bass frequency, sub-frequencies are in the middle. Now, down here we have the glide. We can actually turn it on if we want, okay? And that's gonna glide between the different samples. So let's try to turn off legato. That's the global tuning. Here's the curve of the glide. So we can hear the glide. Let me do, yeah, let's do a longer time. Now we can hear it. So you can decide how the switch and how they glide in between one another, and if you want the envelopes to reset or not. But we can hear that attack without legato because it's resetting. So that is all the glide settings, and here you can go and click and see a bunch of tutorials and stuff like that. So that's kind of everything about the plugin. Now, one of the best features here, that's the last feature that we didn't talk about, is the sample. So if I click on sample, then it's waiting. I can just hit a note. Let's say I want to sample E. And it's waiting until the end. And now I have drag file. Let's bring it down here. And I can just drag it to a new audio track in Ableton. And I got the sample. So even if you're a sound designer that makes sample packs, this is a great tool to make your own 808s and save them very easily as an audio file. Okay, let's just listen to it kind of in the mix. I can go through some presets. I already have a playback here that I made, a quick playback. Let's listen to what we have without the bass. Okay, let's play the clip. Right, already sounding like solid, really great presets. Whoa. A lot of flavors of 808s. Let's turn it up a tiny bit so we can hear it clearer. That's obviously nice. So you can see a lot of presets, sounds great in a mix, and you can create your own. Very cool stuff. So overall, Future Audio Workshop did a great job answering a need of a lot of modern producers. They just want kind of like, they want their sub to be customizable, but they don't want to deal with it every time because it is overall a somewhat more simpler type of instrument than other ones with more character, but still we can get so much control with this plugin. So SubLab for future audio workshop, really great stuff. If you want to see more details about it, check out our blog post, and let me know in the comment section what kind of plugins you want us to check out, review, overview, and see what they can do. So that's it. Catch you next time.